Welcome to, and that's why we drink. Welcome to, yeah, keep, and that welcome to, and that's why we drink, and then like a drink, something like that.
Oh yeah.
Also, this is episode 404, which makes me think that there is a constant error issue on my notes.
Maybe we just delete it and say, sorry, there was a 404 error. We don't have time for this today.
That would have been the most hysterical way to skip a week.
Man, I wish we had thought of that sooner. Okay, well, that stinks.
Oh, Christine, how are you? I haven't seen you in like 5 minutes, it feels like.
I know, and it's so hard on my heart. It's wonderful to see you. I'm actually drinking tea today, which is a rare thing for me, but the last couple of days I've been in a tea mood.
Is it tea or is it like THC in your tea?
I wish. No, I was not quite so bold because it's only, because we have a Halloween live stream tonight that I have to prepare my mind and body and soul for. So
I would think that's how you're going to prepare for it. You're just getting all warmed up, getting all fuzzy from the inside, you know?
Yeah, but then by then I'm like ready to go to bed, and it's like I gotta save up my energy, you know. But look at my mug. Mothman Believes in You is my mug. I didn't even pick it on purpose. Just every mug in my cabinet has something tangentially to do with our show. So
that's beautiful.
It's a Mothman. But so I'm drinking some green tea coconut with coconut in it. And I drink because I finally, just now before we recorded, finally got my Halloween decoration set up.
Halloween's
in
the
12 hours. Yeah. But honestly, I'm so happy they're there because like with trick-or-treaters tomorrow, I'm like, I was going to be really sad if I didn't finish getting it all set up. So now I'm set. I gotta say, it took me a while this year, but I'm here.
Allison really nailed the Halloween decorations this time because we've been traveling so much that...
Can you send me pictures later?
Mm-hmm.
How you did it with your new house?
I'll send you pictures. Well, so the inside, it's as decorated as it can be, but we technically, other than our bedroom, our house is just one room. So there's only like, there used to be some like decorations over there, decorations over here.
Like different,
and now
like stations.
And now we've got like a lot of little things that, and like just really four walls. So,
but I like that because then it's almost more like condensed, like, oh, the whole vibe is now spooky.
But I agree with you, but we don't have a lot of furniture to sit a lot of stuff on, so it's really, it feels more like we just kind of put floor. Yeah, you know, like
listen, that's okay. You literally just moved in. I'm shocked that you even had the time, or Allison did, to get decorations out of boxes. So
well, she did it. The outside looks great. She really nailed the outside. The inside
send me pictures. Definitely don't like you said. Don't send pictures maybe to the social media, but
people can imagine for them. They can imagine.
Yeah.
And also because we live in Burbank, which I have said before, is a very year-round Halloween heavy town. Because this is where a lot of the movie people like do their prop and set shopping, and so there's a lot of year-round Halloween stores. But not in our neighborhood, like our specific suburb of Burbank, but in the neighborhood of Burbank, everyone takes Halloween really seriously when it comes to decorating outside. And so it's so funny. Allison and I, every year we at least have one night each October where we try to go to as many big houses as possible. Right. That like they have to register and everything to like be on this like specific map of places you should go see, and they're like these incredible. So do you go
in them or just look at them?
Sometimes they like people literally turn their houses into like jump scare attractions.
So kind of like that Modern Family episode.
Yeah. Okay. And people have like the 12-foot skeletons, and like they build these really elaborate sets, and like they even it pours over onto like the sidewalk and in the trees there's stuff, and there was one big
house like that this year. The house had been for sale last year, and it's this gorgeous house. And I would always drive past and be like, oh, I wonder who's going to buy it. Well, somebody awesome, because last week I drove past and went, holy smokes, people were pulling their cars over just to like take pictures. I mean, it was a middle of the day. I was like, oh, on Halloween, we have to walk past this house. And they have like it's this really, really beautiful old like Victorian house, and they have all these different balconies, and like everyone has a different like, you know, creature coming and climbing the wall. It's just,
it's crazy.
It's beautiful. And I was like, oh, well, I'm glad my new neighbor is apparently on the right track. I like it.
We moved to the right neighborhood for sure because we have that going on. And last year too, our friend Delaney, who you know, she has a her own lovely podcast called Self Helpless. Please go check it out. But Allison and I went to her house and she hosted like a little Halloween party where the whole point was all of our friends would get together so we could just walk down the neighborhood and just see all the houses. Ugh. But it was like walking through, I imagine, downtown Salem on Halloween night. Like it was like we couldn't even be with our own party. We lost each other at some point, and like,
oh my God, you had to get like the matching T-shirts like you do at Disney with your family.
I mean, there were houses that literally like had pyrotechnic teams come in and like set like their house like there was one that like literally the roof would like catch on fire every 30 seconds, like to like as part
Holy
of the
shit.
bit. Like they don't fuck around in Burbank. And I'll even like on TikTok, I've been like finding like my neighbors' houses like on TikTok because they're
God, like wait a minute,
going viral. Yeah. So anyway, that's been very fun. But as I say, our outside looks great and Allison nailed it. She nailed it for like a normal
for a normie
for a normal neighborhood. Like we don't have like a display quite like that.
No, mine's very simple this year too. It's mine's kind of I keep trying to not triangulate myself. It's so hard because I'm like trying to describe the like layout and I'm like, let's not do that. But I will say today I put up these like this giant like multi-story spider web, and by that I mean I just throw it out the window and then like hook it on the fence. It actually worked really great. But I was around the corner like putting up some bats on the wall, and this woman walked past and said, "You might want to call Orkin," which is like our local exterminator, because you've got a spider problem on the property. And I went, "Excuse me?
Are you serious?"
Well, it's because I just put up all those giant spiders, and she walked around the corner and she was making a joke, and I was like, I am so stupid. I went, oh my God, seriously? And I mean, I'm not kidding you. And she had passed me like 5 minutes earlier when I was doing the spiders and said like, ooh, scary, and walked away, came back, said, you might want to call Orkin. And I said, what? Why? She's like, because of your spider problem. And I went, a spider problem? I mean, I'm like so out of my mind.
In hindsight, that's a beautiful, she sounds like someone you should run into again and try to make friends with.
I was going to say, she really like nailed it, and I just I just whiffed it. But I will add also one of the Halloween related reasons I drink as well is because last year, part of the reason I'm kind of delayed is that a bunch of our stuff was stolen last year, and someone stole my skeleton, and I've had him for years, and I loved him, and he was so important to me, and some teenager just fucking took him. 6-foot skeleton, just took him right off the porch. Walked away.
That's awful.
Yeah, so my new one comes today, but it was like I had to get one last minute because I'd forgotten he disappeared, and I was hoping someone would return him, but alas, he's gone.
That's awful.
He's coming today. I'll put him up by tomorrow, and I've decided I'm going to put a motion activated thing so that when anyone tries to come near him, and it'll just scream at you so that they don't steal it. I'll say, I see you teenagers, you're on camera.
That'll do it.
Yeah. And they're not on camera, but they don't need to know that.
No. And at ISS at my old prop house, the craziest part is that they claimed that there were security cameras everywhere. So like because they were like, oh, we don't want you to steal props from a TV show, which is fair. Right. But half the fucking security cameras were props. They weren't even fucking real
like,
security.
How do you even know if any of this is real?
So they just expected people to just live in fear, because I would see security cameras all over the place. And then I was like, I don't even know if that's actually real or if they just took one from storage and just kind of stuck it on there. Or a lot of times they would literally just spray paint the top of like a Starbucks lid, like the round ones, and then just like glue it to the ceiling. And I'd be like, is that because it kind of from far away looks
is
like.
Is that my Frappuccino? What's happening?
There were so many times where I was like, I can't, like, this place is like so trashy, but also like so professional. I can't ever, the line is too fine and too thick all at the same time.
It's like how I operate, where you were describing setting the roof on fire. And I was like, I feel like I would do that to make it as exciting as possible, but I wouldn't do it properly, so I'd accidentally like set the house on fire. Like it's like very DIY, but like you're committing to the bit, like,
and it kind of works. Like some people are like, if it looks close enough, nobody's going to test it and steal something, you know?
Right.
Anyway, so maybe when in doubt, just like spray paint a Starbucks lid black.
I mean, I never thought of doing that, but that might be the new way to go. So
perfect.
I guess I'll go to Starbucks later and get back to you.
Okay, it's the new Michelle's. It's like just going and grabbing some art supplies. Okay, Christine. Well, you're drinking your tea. I am supposed to be drinking an LD, but I forgot to get it from the fridge. But luckily, the fridge is right here.
Oh my God, you can touch it.
So I will probably get that at some point. But until then, I have a story for you. This is the tale of the Old Faithful Inn.
The Old Faithful. Oh, inn. I thought you were talking about the geyser, so I was like expecting that word, and then you didn't say it.
Now that's interesting that you say that, Christine. That is an interesting thing you're saying about the Old Faithful Geyser.
Continue, please.
So
speak on that.
You know what? You know what I have to fucking mention right now to your face, to your
what did I do?
Big dumb face. You know what you have started recently?
No.
You love to say speak on that.
It's so funny to me.
It has transported into my brain, and now I say it, and now it always feels like it's in. You're always here. Get out of my head. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I mean, I've always said that, and that's what I took from you. Is I've always said that is what you taught me, and I said that's excellent work. I'm gonna take that as well.
Excellent
and
work.
then
Thank
so
you.
it's we sometimes just trade off like our little isms.
I catch myself all the time now going, speak on that, and I'm like, who the fuck do I think I am? And then
it's so good because it sort of like invites it, like critiques the other person a little bit sometimes without like being blatantly, you know, what do you call it? Confrontational. It's sort of like, why don't you elaborate? And like, you'll hear how stupid you sound. I mean, that's how you usually use it. Like with like this Trumper guy I met recently, and I just kept being like, oh, really? Speak on that. And he was like, well, I don't. Bleh. And I was like, see, it's really effective.
Yeah, it
People
feels
sometimes don't know.
It feels like an opportunity. You're saying like, I'll give you a second try.
Yes. Try again. Oh my God, I'll wait. It's the same energy as I'll wait. It's like, speak on that. Continue.
Well, I plan on speaking on the Old Faithful Inn and your interesting note about the geyser, because this takes place in Yellowstone, which is in, do you know what the first U.S. national park is?
Yellowstone.
Yep, that's right. Okay, so
I was like, I fucking hope so, because I really don't know.
And the inn is named after a geyser nearby called Old Faithful. Listening on Audible helps your imagination soar. No matter the genre you love, you can be inspired to imagine new worlds, new possibilities, and new ways of thinking.
Listening can lead to positive change in your mood, your habits, and ultimately your overall well-being. And I would say that I can directly attest to that. 5 out of 5 doctors believe listening to, and that's why we drink's new audiobook, A Haunted Road Atlas Next Stop, is going to make your life swell. You know what I mean?
5 out of 5 Christines, 5 out of 5 M's. We definitely think if you're on Audible, why not go check out A Haunted Road Atlas?
It's pretty
or
good.
A Haunted Road Atlas Next Stop. I mean, you've got multiple options.
You got 2 for you, just perfect for spooky season or any other day of the year.
Find the genres you love and discover new ones. Explore bestsellers like ours, new releases like ours, plus thousands of included audiobooks, podcasts, and originals that members can listen to all they want, with more added all the time.
There's more to imagine when you listen. New members can try Audible now free for 30 days with your first audiobook included. Visit audible.com/drink or text drink to 500-500. That's audible.com/drink or text drink to 500-500.
The geyser is called Old Faithful. Do you know why?
Is it because it's timed? Like we know when it's going to go erupt?
Should I even do my story?
Like I literally don't know. You guys, this is just off the dome.
Are
like,
you a geologist?
Smart.
Off the dome. Okay. So, yes, the geyser is called Old Faithful because unlike some geysers, this one you can predict kind of
it's like
when it will erupt.
A little bit. Yeah.
It's like a vague timing because it's like between 35 minutes and 120 minutes. But it's like
I see. So it's like, but it'll happen.
It's like within 2 hours it's gonna go off. Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay.
So anyway, this inn is nearby that geyser, hence the name Old Faithful Inn.
Makes sense.
Before the Old Faithful Inn, there was another inn on the same site called the Upper Geyser Basin Hotel. And that just doesn't have the same kind of ring, I fear.
No, not really. No.
That was around from the 1870s to the 1890s. And then in the 1890s, the hotel, I think, caught on fire. At some point, it was so damaged that it collapsed and needed to be replaced. So the first structures of the Old Faithful Inn was built on the same lot.
Such a better name. You can market the Old Faithful Inn. You cannot market the Upper Geyser Base. What, the UBG? The
UGBH?
It's just
the UGBA?
The UGBA? Are you serious right now?
Catch you at the UGBA.
Yeah, not going to work. I'm going to set it on fire and make it collapse so that we can have the other one.
Yeah, the OFI, the OFI.
The OFI.
Catch you at the OFI. Okay, so the OFI, or the first parts of it at least, were built in 1903, 1904. And this was a very famous hotel in the area. It was a very swanky. Many presidents came to visit here, including President Harding, President
Mhm.
Coolidge, and both Roosevelts. You know who I always fucking forget? President Harding.
Harding is a tough one.
I remember Sporkle.
Oh, I love Sporkle. You and I have played Sporkle in recent years, as I recall.
Whenever I play the US president's version, I get every single one of them every single time, except for Harding. He's always the one that trips me up.
Well, I just had a thought. What if we next time, because I also always, I always forget most of them. So that's the weird part for me is I only remember like 5 and I'm like, it's so strange. I should know this. But what about when you are trying to remember that one that you can never remember? You're like, oh, it's really hard to remember this one. And then you're like, Harding.
Now that has done a
It's
number to my brain immediately.
Because I heard myself go, oh, Harding's tough. And I'm like, oh my God, Harding's a hard thing to remember.
No, I think you just
I'm going to be like,
the
tough,
case.
President difficult, President tough. I forget what word I used.
President complex.
Nuanced, convoluted.
No, that's a great idea. And now because of you, I will win the trivia game if they ever say name all 46. Yeah.
Yeah.
Soon to be 47.
Sporkle trophy. It's about time someone wins it.
Wait, is this the last episode we do before we find out the results of the election?
I was like, the results of what? The paternity test? My brain immediately went to the paternity test. I'm like,
okay, so you are really good at geology and kind of nothing else.
And nothing else. Certainly not. No. And I want to be clear, I'm also not good at geology. I'm just good at guessing sometimes.
Man, off the dome.
Off the dome. And I'm also good at bringing back phrases nobody wants to bring back. What were you just saying?
I think this is the last episode before the election results.
Yikes. Yeah. So depending on what happens, this mood
will shift
appropriate or not. So if
it will shift like the tectonic plates, am I right? Geology expert.
Oh my God. It's like a fault line is about to, it's like a geyser that's not Old Faithful is about to erupt any moment. And we're all hunkering down at the GBHN.
You know what terrified me about the election results or the election predictions right now? NPR just came out last night saying that it's a 2/3 of a chance that it's Trump.
Fuck my life. I literally went to a trivia.
How is that possible? How the fuck is that possible?
I went to therapy the other day and I was like, hey, there were all sorts of things I wanted to discuss with you, but I just need to talk about the election. And she was like, all right, sit down.
She was like, you and everyone else.
Yeah, she's like, okay, another one. Here comes another one. But I was just like, I don't know what to do. So she had me do a brain dump where I just wrote for pages and pages and pages and pages. And then she made me read it out loud. And I was like, and another thing. And I was reading it out loud. But I had that same thought, where I was like, wow, it's way scarier than I had hoped. I'd been avoiding it for
I just don't know.
To just wait till the week of, and now it's like hitting me. And I feel like I'd drive Leona to school and like 3/4 of the signs are Trump signs. And I'm like, I don't feel good about that.
Which like, I think I just live in a false sense of reality because I live in Los Angeles and like.
Yes, it's a bubble. Because remember when I was talking about that in therapy too, when I lived in LA and Trump won, we were so shocked. Like I remember everyone was like, the world turned
I'll never
upside
forget
down.
that day. I'll never forget that day.
We were shocked. We were like, there's no way in hell. And I was like, we were in a bubble, like a liberal bubble, which is, great until suddenly things go wrong.
I don't know what to expect. And next week will obviously, that'll be the reason why we drink, either for something really fucking cool or really just so fucking horrible.
Yeah. So don't take this tone that we have today as any sort of gospel because we have no clue what's going to happen. But
that's you know what? That's why I drink this week, because I just don't know the fate of all of our lives.
I'm just going to stick with a teenager stole my skeleton decoration.
That's a good reason.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's like send out all the witches. Well, by the time you hear this, Halloween's over. But in what is probably the most powerful night in 24 hours, I hope everyone's doing the right thing and manifesting.
Let's hex this shit.
Yeah. Yes. Okay. Anyway, where were we? Presidents. President Harding. President Harding has been here. President Coolidge, the Roosevelts, both of them, father and son. Isn't that nice? And over time, the inn was expanded to keep up with the growing amount of tourists going to Yellowstone. And by the way, fun fact, Yellowstone is my favorite national park.
Really?
Do you want to know why, though?
Yes.
Yogi Bear. And it's because Jellystone.
It's a good Jellystone. That's a good answer.
I would love a Yellowstone National Park shirt that actually is just Jellystone, but looks like it's from the Yellowstone store.
I bet they have that. I'll look for it. Don't look for it, everyone. I'm doing it.
Okay.
I need more Christmas gift ideas.
when I was little, I was obsessed with Boo Boo.
Were you?
So,
that's kind of cute. I sort of knew that, but I didn't really realize how far the obsession went.
Anyway, I was a big fan. So, actually, well, okay, I have to stop talking because
I must not continue.
I could go off on a tangent right now.
What's
about
the
Yogi
frog
Bear.
and Toad shirt I have in my old profile picture? Like, we must stop eating, cried Toad as he ate another. Like, that's us talking.
Okay,
we
let's
must stop
talk,
talking.
How about
I
this?
said as I kept talking.
Let me tell you what specifically I'm obsessed about when it comes to Yogi Bear for our after party, whatever it's fucking called.
The Yappy Hour. Yes, great idea.
Because it really gets me in the right spots. Okay. So over time, the inn was expanded because there were so many more tourists coming in, and it became a national landmark, and it was put on the National Registry of Historic Places.
Makes sense.
National Register. I always say registry. Because you love this portion of my stories, I am here to tell you that construction on this inn cost $165,000 at the time, which is around $580,000 today.
Oh, that's not that much. I mean, it's a lot, but like not for an inn. Like I imagine
over $500,000. I mean, I guess I think I just have no frame of reference. But when I think like, 4 presidents have come here, that must have
right.
What's a banana? $10? You know, I have. What's $600,000?
That's such an underrated quote. Wow.
So when the hotel started up, and this is what construction and furnishings cost, right. The lobby, one of the things they did in construction is that the lobby was 85 feet tall. It had 120 rooms, which in my mind, a hotel being created at the turn of this like 20th century, I'm like, that feels like way too many rooms. In my mind, there's not 120 people.
I was going to say, it feels like a lot of, especially when it's a place like with presidents, it feels like you would have like a very exclusive, like not 100 normies staying there and then like Roosevelt and his son. But I do wonder but also how on earth do you build like a 120 room hotel for $500,000 in today's money? Like, I don't know. It's just weird to me. But anyway.
580,000 divided by 120. Okay, so each room, it was like $5,000, like less than $5,000.
There's no way.
That doesn't even include the dining room, the lobby,
the any plumbing, any foundation.
Well, I will say also fun fact, because that's a great point about the money. Like, how are we getting away with it at this price? Because this was also one of the first hotels to have electric lighting and heat.
See? What? Maybe they got some like huge grant or something.
You know, I got a friend
on a farm. It's not on a farm. It's on a national park.
I got a friend named Brandy, and that girl knows how to be frugal, and she is nicknamed in our friend group as Bargain Brandy. Maybe they
we should call her Bargain Bin Brandy, because that's way funnier. Bargain Bin Brandy. It sounds like she's been found at the bottom of the bargain bin.
She was literally the person through high school where she would know every Monday at Target, these are the sales, but every Monday at this place, these are the sales, and every Monday at this place. And she would know every day, like every store. And like, I mean, she just went to the Taylor Swift Eras tour twice because she had growing up, she had an email for like every month. So at every restaurant, she would get 12 free meals a year, like, because she had 12. She would put one in and have a different birth month for each one of them.
This just is exactly that's it. That's the vibe.
And for the Eras tour, she ended up going to Scotland and Paris to see the Eras tour, because she literally had enough emails that she signed up for every country's pre-sale and just hoped that she would get one of them, and she ends up getting 2 of them. Like, she just like, she thinks it through in a way I wouldn't. So
I was gonna say she's like prepared too.
I like to think there's a Bargain Brandy on the team creating this place.
I think so. Somebody is like, oh, we could do that. We could DIY this pyrotechnic stuff ourselves.
It's like 120 rooms, fancy enough for both the Roosevelts, and have electric lighting and heat. Less than $5,000 per room.
Easy peasy. Let me just get a grant from the government, and we'll figure it out.
Let me go to Target on Monday where this is for sale, but then we go to Marshall's here.
My birthday's actually on Wednesday, so I'll be really busy that day. I have 16 restaurants to go to, but every other day of the week I'm here.
In this lobby, because remember I said it was an 85-foot tall lobby.
Yes.
In this very tall lobby. Up in the rafters at about foot 75, there is a floating platform near the ceiling called the crow's nest.
Okay, now I'm already very intrigued about this.
We'll remember this crow's nest because it's important later.
I won't forget it.
It's a floating platform that during its heyday, the hotel would have string quartets and other bands perform up there. So they were essentially floating above the lobby guests.
Wow.
And that was one of its fun little features of like, oh, come see live music right above you.
How big is this crow's nest? Like, does it hold a whole band or is it like one person?
I guess so. I mean, I didn't see a picture of it, but I imagine it's big enough.
Give me the square footage of this bad boy.
Well, I told you it's 75 feet up in the air. That
right.
should be enough
Okay.
for
That's
you.
all I need to know, actually. I don't think I need to know anymore. That's pretty cool, though.
So that was like one of its fun little features. But in 1959, there was a massive earthquake and it created a lot of damage to the inn. And to this day, the crow's nest is closed to the public.
Oh, no.
You
but it's still
can
there,
see it.
though?
You
Oh,
can see it.
cool.
It's just collecting dust.
That's super cool.
On top of that, visitors cannot go past the balcony on the third floor now. But what was cool about this hotel also is that every floor had like balconies, so you could see all these balconies surrounding you. It was very beautiful. But yeah, so you can't go to the crow's nest and you can't go past the third floor. You can't
like use the balcony at all?
I don't think you can use the floor
bummer.
at all. I don't know. That's the vibe I'm getting here.
Gotcha.
Since its opening, it's had several renovations, including this cute little thing called the Bear Pit Lounge.
Ooh.
And it was created in 1936 and then again in 1988 when it got moved to somewhere else in the hotel. But the Bear Pit Lounge was built with a bunch of wood panel carvings, a quote, of bears in the act of mischief.
Well.
Now I love that.
You don't say. That sounds spectacular.
Like, what do you think they're doing? I like to think one has like their head stuck in a pot of honey, like Winnie the Pooh.
Big time. I mean, it's all Winnie the Pooh, I imagine.
One's rolling down a hill.
Themed, yeah, for sure. One's booty is stuck, like he's trying to like climb into something to get honey, and his booty got stuck.
Oh, he's doing the blue chair scratch, the tree scratch, yeah.
Just mischief. Oh, someone's trying to like pry open a Jeep to get the snacks inside. I'm sure that's part of it.
For some reason, I thought we just turned this into like fucking true crime. Like, oh, now they're also on a murder spree. Like,
now they have knives and they're on cocaine. Wait, that comes later. Mischief is like a vague word, you know?
It
I don't
sure
know if
is.
Sticky bears or like murderous bears, you know?
Is it like
be
Grand Theft Auto, Grand Larceny,
Grand Theft Auto?
They have a gambling problem. The whole family is in the corner crying. You know, like
or
something's going on.
Are they just like leaving paw prints on the ground? Nobody knows.
No, who could say? Not me. Apparently, those images were then recreated through glass engravings for when they moved the bear pit to another area. So I think they still have the active mischief bears.
Love that.
So that's kind of the only real fun facts in history that I was getting out of most of the sources.
Those are pretty good, though. Those are good fun facts.
Here are the ghost things, though. First, I'm just going to say there are obviously the usuals in this hotel. Lights turning on and off, doors opening and closing, footsteps running down the hall, but nobody's there. Creaky floors for no reason.
Do we have a lady in white?
Girl, please. Ask yourself again if you need to ask obvious questions.
Okay, you're right.
We are going to get to her at the end because she is the main character today.
I just thought when you were saying, oh, we have all the usuals, I was like, oh, I was expecting you to say it there. But then I realized you're right. It probably has more of a story. So I'll let it.
All the usuals.
All the usuals.
Bold, italicized, underlined.
I'm ready.
Okay, so lights, doors, footsteps, blah, blah, blah. One time, a person, this is the one that would absolutely have me losing my mind. One person was walking through. Apparently, she was inspecting she was doing an inspection of the hotel. They called her an inspectress, which I thought was special. And this inspectress,
it's like when I tried to be Inspectress Gadget.
It's like when you were a private
inspectress.
Inspectress.
It has a good ring to it. I like it.
Well, so she was walking around the hotel and she saw a fire extinguisher on the wall lift off of its handle very slowly, turn itself 90 degrees, and then turn itself back and hang on the handle.
What?
Like, are you kidding me? That would be all right. Inspectress, what does this mean? Miss, I'm the inspector and I know how to inspect.
I spoke too soon.
After inspecting that, inspect the fucking door and leave.
I was gonna say
run.
inspect my car because I'm driving home. Wow, that's pretty weird, and I think I'm with you that would be what did it, because it's like, were you just showing me that to show me?
Right.
Like, were you doing? Was it supposed to mean something? Like
did I walk in on a ghost janitor like working, or was that a show for me?
Right. It like that would really freak me out.
I feel like if I realized that was them trying to, and then once it's if it's on display for me, was that to scare me, or am I supposed to go like, oh,
right? Or are they like, oh, the screw's loose, somebody fix it? Like, are you trying to tell me something? Is this like, are you threatening me? I don't know what it means. The
vibe could be anything. It could be an act of mischief. It could have been those damn bears.
It could be a fucking bear.
So that's like the creepiest thing for me. But the main thing here is that people see apparitions. A lot of people see a little boy who will run up to you and ask where his family is, and then he vanishes.
Oh no!
There's always got to be a sad one. Then there's several apparitions of men either in the lobby or the halls. One is very short, but he looks very serious, probably because he's so short. And another one is a man in a merchant marine uniform. So there's a few male apparitions, and it could be, we don't know who it is, but there are a few potentials for who these men are. So one of the first thoughts is it could be the inn's architect, Robert Reamer. It could be a ranger who was stationed here in the 1920s named Ranger Phillips. Ooh. And he, when stationed here, he died of hemlock poisoning because he thought he was eating a parsnip and it was hemlock.
No, that's like pretty fucking tragic.
Kids, don't eat your vegetables. They could be poison. It could also be a guy named L.R. Piper, who was a guy who just vanished in 1900. He just disappeared. No one ever saw him again. And a lot of people think that maybe he fell into the nearby geyser, which, fun fact, mid-eruption, it can hit upwards of like 250 degrees Fahrenheit, which is about 120 degrees Celsius.
Okay.
And people think maybe he just fell into a geyser. And the only reason we think it could be him is because one kid reported seeing the apparition of a man who looked like he had severe scalding injuries.
Oh, that's dark.
But that's also assuming that he actually did die that way. So we're just putting
He just gave a thumb. It's always the worst timing. Yeah, it's like thumbs up as you're talking about somebody with like 3rd-degree burns all over his body.
Yeah, oops. And it's when I'm actively trying to do this, it's not, nothing's happening, you know?
Yeah, it doesn't have room for a negative reaction.
So the apparition of a man could also be a random frontiersman who is allegedly buried on the property because at some point when they did an addition in like the 1910s, 1920s, they realized that there were unmarked graves under the property. Whoopsie daisies.
Cool.
And then built on top of it anyway. So they think that maybe it's one of those people who's buried under the hotel. It could be a random guy who just died from some adventure accident nearby because he's in Yellowstone, you know? Or maybe it's, maybe there's several apparitions of men and it is all of these people all the time. ¿Por qué no los cinco? You know?
That's what I always say.
And I've always said that. There's also the spirit of a woman in room 2. Now, this one is the second most famous story here. This is when a couple went to bed in room 2 and the woman woke up in the middle of the night and she saw a woman floating over her bed in like old school clothing. Mm-hmm. A lot of the sources say 1890s clothing, but I swear to God, if I ever saw someone in old ass clothing, I would never be able to go, obviously 1890s.
Yeah,
you know?
The lace had a specific stitching to it. You know, it's like, how on earth would you even know?
No, I would barely even notice that they had clothing if someone was standing over my bed. Like, I don't know what fucking year it's from. So anyway, all the websites tried to make this story seem much scarier than it is because they all like really lean into like she was digging her nails into her husband's back because she was so scared. And then he woke up and they showed the hotel staff his scratches down his back because she was so scared. I'm like, okay, we're doing a lot of talking about everything and nothing. Like, I get it. There was a woman floating over the bed. We could have ended it there.
Right. So the scratches were from the wife, not from the ghost.
From the wife being scared. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. The number of times I've harmed someone because I'm scared, that's not story worthy, you know? I harm you all the time when I'm scared, like just with my claws.
It felt like a lot of those sources were like trying to hit a word count and they were like, let's talk about the woman and her nails. And I'm like, we said everything already in the beginning. There was a woman floating over her bed.
Yeah,
1890s.
We're all scared. Don't worry, we get it. It's scary.
So apparently, because of that, room 2 is one of the bigger ones that people request if you want to find a ghost because they think they'll find her. People don't know who this woman in 1890s clothes could be, but they think it might be a woman named Mrs. Culver who died not too far from the area in 1889, so 1890s clothing, I guess. She died not too far from the area during childbirth, and allegedly when she died, the grounds were too frozen to bury her right away, and so they buried her instead in, this is multiple, pickle barrels.
Oh my God, what?
So like at some point, does that mean they like dismembered her to put her in multiple barrels?
Yeah, the fact that it says bare rolls is alarming. Like, I don't know.
And they put her in those barrels basically
maybe
until
they just put them like
the ground
side by
thawed.
side and then put her inside them.
And then they just roll her down the hill. Yeah, I don't know.
I guess, right? Like,
I have no
what
idea.
are you doing with that barrel? Or I don't know. Weird.
Who had 2 empty pickle barrels and was like, I know exactly what I'm
Probably
not going to fill these
in a
with
past
pickles.
life. You probably ate all of them.
That's a great point. I actually still remember as a kid, like having like that communal barrel of pickles in the grocery store, and everyone would just stick their bare hands in it. COVID could never. Like
Their bare hands. It's just bears taking all the pickles. They just ate all the pickles.
Yeah, the wood panel carvings is a collaboration between me and the bears causing mischief.
Yeah, you kind of keep showing up.
The second there's a pickle barrel, all of a sudden it's game over.
Yeah.
Anyway, so she was put in these barrels until a good thaw, and then they ultimately did bury her in the ground.
So she was just like above ground in these barrels for a while.
I'm thinking so. And it was so cold outside, I guess she was frozen, so it's not like there was a smell or anything. But so she is just someone who randomly died nearby, and this is the story of how she was buried. And the end of the story is that she does get buried, and now the water that she's buried near is called Dead Maiden Spring, by the way.
Whoa.
But so they think that this woman could be the ghost that someone saw in room 2. That's their guess. The most famous room here is room 127, which is the story of the lady in white, of course. She is known as the Headless Bride.
Oh,
so I guess it's at least she's original compared to the lady in white.
Yeah.
But the story goes that in 1914, she was a New York socialite, fell in love with a guy who her family didn't approve of. Apparently, he was like a servant that worked for their family. So,
below her station,
like a drama under the roof. Like, there's
like
no
Downton
escape
Abbey level drama.
And so, anyway, her family did not approve. Obviously, they. Maybe I think that in one source I saw that they even tried to like set her up in an arranged marriage just to get her away from him. Oof. But then that obviously didn't work out. Basically, her father was especially nervous because he thought that the servant in love, quote, with his daughter was only, quote, in love with her for the family's money. I'm like, oh, if I marry, then, then I'm in.
I'm in.
She apparently was like, I don't give a fuck, I'm marrying him anyway. And the father was like, okay, I'll let you marry him, and I'm going to give him a handsome dowry, because remember dowry? But if I do this, you are out of the will and you can never return to New York. Like, he's the fucking king. Okay. There's 5 boroughs. Find me, bitch.
What a dick.
In 1914, you could live.
Say there's 5 boroughs. Find me, bitch.
Yeah. I was like, in 1914, first of all, who are you to tell me where I can and can't live? Second of all, like, I could live across the street and we just might never see each other and you would never know.
It's
like,
called New York.
You're the mob and you've got eyes everywhere? Okay. So,
I literally just picture you eating a fucking pickle out of a barrel. Like, really? You think you can tell me where to go? Oh my God.
And I've always said that. So, anyway, he was like, you can never come back to New York and you're out of the will if you marry this guy. And I think his original plan was like, if he told the guy she's cut out of the will, then he would be uninterested in marrying her because he wouldn't have access to her money.
Okay.
And then he would go away and the problem would go away.
Right. He was like playing his
he was bluffing in a way.
Yeah, his calling is bluff.
Yes. The couple got married anyway. They honeymoon in Yellowstone. Obviously, they stay at the Ophi, the Old Faithful Inn.
Of course.
And the groom immediately starts spending all the dowry money. Some of the sources say that it was through gambling, something like that.
Intriguing.
Like them damn bears, I'll tell you. And somehow, I guess they were honeymooning for like a month. Maybe that's just what you did in 1914 when it took 3 months to get there.
I think you would honeymoon for a while because you would take like a seed voyage or like a train voyage somewhere, and it would always take longer.
Well, so they were there for at least a month, and in that month he spent all of the dowry to a point where they couldn't even afford the hotel bill on their honeymoon.
Oh no.
So the hotel staff heard the couple fighting nonstop, and some versions of the story say that the daughter even called home for more money, but was refused.
You know that didn't go over well with Dad.
Yeah, Dad was like, well.
Told you so, told you so.
Either way, during one of these fights, the husband storms out of the hotel in the middle of the night and is to never be seen again. The staff don't see the wife for a while, so they're like, okay, we're going to give her some space. But eventually they're like, it's kind of weird we haven't seen her. We're going to go check on her.
Yeah.
They find her in the bathtub. Homegirl is decapitated.
No.
And her head is nowhere to be seen.
No.
So the staff look everywhere. And a week later, guests start to complain of a smell in the lobby in the crow's nest.
No.
And they send someone up there.
You're kidding me.
Wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. That's where her head was. And to this day, the Headless Bride is said to haunt the Old Faithful Inn. People will see a bride, aka woman in white, wandering the halls.
Oh, shit.
She's often seen by the crow's nest, either looking over its railing down to the lobby or coming down the stairs attached to the crow's nest. But she is best recognized by the fact that she is always seen carrying her own head.
How dark is that?
People say when they hear footsteps through the hotel, it must be her wandering the halls, either in search of her head before she found it, or in search of her groom, or in search of, I don't know, the money that he stole. I don't fucking know. But she's walking around. Guests and staff alike have claimed to see her. One waitress says that from the corner of her eye, she has seen a woman in a frilly white dress. All this to say, though, I don't know if this guy's just trying to ruin it for everyone. I don't know what the fucking deal is. There's a guy named George Bornman. And George, different sources say different things about him. He was either the former manager, the former assistant manager, the former tour guide, the former bell captain, or the former bellman, which maybe bell captain and bellman are the same thing.
Assistant to the general manager?
Yeah. Yes. Well, apparently George claims that he made up the Headless Bride story when he worked there. Now,
what?
we don't even know if that's true. I mean, like now that you're claiming something that you're claiming about something that's already claimed, it's like
right.
An alleged on an alleged. It's like, now we don't know for sure.
Yeah.
But,
way to like muddy the waters, friend.
Yeah. You couldn't just let people have a good fucking time. You had to
no, you got to
put your name in
yourself, really.
He says that in 1983, he was staying overnight in the hotel. He was totally by himself. Maybe there was one other person there. But he had a weird experience where he actually was hearing footsteps in the halls, even though nobody should be there. He kept running out to see what was going on. He could have sworn an actual person had gotten into the hotel somehow. And he eventually followed the footsteps to the lobby. And apparently, although all that is true, as he walked to the lobby, he looked up into the crow's nest and he looked up into the crow's nest, and that's the end of the real story. But what he now tells people is that he saw this white misty figure holding a head walking down the stairs. He really embellished it.
And he's saying he made that part up.
He's saying he made that part up.
I see. Okay.
Now, timeline gets tricky. It sounds like he had the footsteps thing actually happen to him, and it freaked him out so much he started researching the hotel, which is where he found out that in 1915 there actually was a murder in the hotel. And from that, it inspired the second half of the story. So then when he started telling people the story, all of a sudden it became this much more embellished version of it.
I see. So is he saying like, oh, it just got out of hand? Or like...
No, I think he actively made it up because so many guests would come over to him and ask, is the hotel haunted? And he got so sick of it that eventually he was like, yeah, it's haunted. I saw a fucking headless bride. Now leave me alone.
Now get over it.
Which I kind of don't blame him. I mean, as a third party, I'm like, oh, fuck this guy. But at the same time, if I worked at a hotel and everyone was asking me a million times over, it's kind of like when I go into a lift by myself, sometimes I just make up a fucking story about my life.
Right. It's like, I don't even want to have this conversation again.
Like, they're like, oh, what are you here for? And I'm like, oh, I am
visiting
a
family,
flight attendant. Like, I just make up fucking stories sometimes. Or if someone says like, oh, I'm from Kentucky. I'll just steal your life. And I go, oh, I'm from there. I'm from Covington. Like, I just make it up.
Oh, God, great. I did not know this. Okay, so next time somebody shows up and it's like, it's so great to see you again. I'll be like, oh, well, only
if it's like,
identity.
I mean, if it's like literally a Lyft driver or something, it's someone I'm never going to see again.
Yeah.
So
I love this. You're just like creating a mystery about yourself.
I just get bored sometimes. So like, I don't want to explain what I'm doing there. And it's just easier to just say something else. Or I'll say like, oh, I'm visiting a go-to is usually I'm visiting my brother. He goes to college around here. Like I feel
like visiting family is the easy one because it's like nobody really cares. I mean, not that, nobody cares to ask a bunch of questions about that.
But I feel like this guy's probably like, I work at this fucking hotel. Everyone won't stop asking if it's haunted. Like, let's just make something up just to give them something.
Right.
So,
okay.
In that way, I'm not too upset. But it does, like you said, muddy up the waters and we don't know.
Yeah, it's kind of annoying.
So, we don't know how much of it is true.
He's like, I only made a part of it. It's like, well,
yes, like so now
it's extra confusing.
According to him, the footsteps thing did in fact happen, and people do still hear footsteps all the time. So that tracks. But people do actually see a white misty ghost in a white dress coming down the stairs holding a head now. So we don't know if it's like because he put that in their brains to see, or is that true and he tried to steal the story? We don't know.
Did he like manifest something that wasn't there?
Oh, yeah, that too. Well, so there's no way to know for sure that the woman in white, lady in white, is totally true, but people swear they run into her anyway. And if you would like to, your best bet is room 127 where she died. And last thing I'm going to say is before you go, heads up, the inn does not have ghost tours and they do not book official ghost hunts. So if you wanted
George is like, apps over my dead fucking body.
So if you ever wanted to actually go ghost hunting there, you're going to have to do it in secret. So
don't mind if I do.
And that is the Old Faithful Inn.
That was cool. That was very cool. Thank you for sharing. I didn't know about that. I didn't know that anything by the geyser was haunted. I just assumed places like parks are just outdoor places with no ghosts.
I feel like national parks are like always said to be haunted, and I've heard people say like, oh, you should do like even like with Appalachia in general or something. They're like, oh, can you do a general
right?
But I hate doing those where it's like, let me just tell you about a location. Like I would rather focus in on a story because
like an
I
actual.
Also don't, selfishly, I don't want to burn through material. Like if there's like 10 different stories, I don't want to do them all in one episode.
So if there's like a family in Appalachia that has some story, it's like more fun to cover just that.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah. Well, where the Fresno Nightcrawler? He's in
Fresno.
Yes. What's the national park he was spotted in though?
I thought he was in someone's backyard.
Oh, Yosemite. No, remember because it was Yosemite because they had like a trail cam set up.
Yes, that's why I thought backyard because I thought it was like a Ring doorbell or something.
But the reason that it like was so alarming is because like it was an official park.
That's weird.
Trail cam, like it wasn't just somebody's doorbell that they like, faked. It was like, how did this happen? Okay, well, this is going to be an experiment because I'm doing part 2
from like 3 weeks ago or something.
Yeah. Yeah. And I don't know if you remember anything at all about the story. Probably not.
I remember.
I mean, once I remind you, I'm sure you'll know some of it.
I remember that the main character, the girl, was in a nasty relationship with a guy who seemed very disinterested in her.
Very abusive.
She was kind of like a bad bitch who had a lot of like licenses and certificates for skydiving, and then he like really weirdly like pushed her to go skydiving one day, and when she did, her pack and her backup never opened.
You fucking nailed it.
And it's obviously him. I just don't know how.
So this is part 2. I'm so glad. Thank you for giving me a recap, like giving all of us the recap so I didn't have to. That was not my intention at first, but as you were doing it, I was like, oh, this is actually a lot easier. And you said just about as much as I would have remembered to say. So thank you. We're getting into part 2. I'm sorry, folks, for the Halloween interruption, but it was necessary. It was the one time a year that things are allowed to get pushed aside for Halloween. So we're on part 2. Victoria has survived this tremendous crash from thousands of feet in the air with no parachute, which is just
Which,
unheard
how
of.
did she survive? Like, what did she land on?
It's like shocking. Like, they remember when I was saying last time that the guy who went out as emergency services brought a body bag from the car over because he was like, well, there's no way she's survived this. Or if she did, there's no way she's going to live long,
Right.
you know? So they were like, it was one of those, you know, miracle situations where you've just plummeted past from 4,000 feet. Past all the other skydivers and somehow survived. I mean, I did, as we talked about, I went skydiving. I barely survived, and I had a perfectly fine parachute, but I just puked my guts out at the bottom. So I don't know how she did it, but she did. So she's in the hospital, and she wakes up in the ER, and guess who's there? Her loving husband, Emil. Aww.
She had to look at him at this point and go, "I'm fucking onto you," or did she have no idea? Wow.
Nope. Not yet. I think it was just so shocking of an idea. And like, I mean, we'll get into it, but it took her a while to really come to terms with it. As you would imagine, somebody that you like trust with your children and your life, and trying to tell yourself like, nope, it's all been a lie, you know? But so I think I had mentioned this last time that when the skydiving location called him on the phone, he was like very weird.
Yeah, he like didn't give a shit or something, or he was like, okay, and then just hung up the phone.
He like was just like almost upset that she, like, I think looking back, he was upset she had survived. Like, he was like taken aback because he was waiting to get a call about, and probably preparing his lines for like, oh, your wife has passed. And then they're like, oh, she's okay. She's going to be fine. She's going to be fine. Over and over. And he was like, okay, I get it. Like, she's gonna be fine. Great, you know.
Yuck, tell me something I don't know.
Yuck. Let me get back to feeding the baby. So she wakes up, she's in the ER, and Emil is at her side. He's texting on his phone, and when he sees her wake up, the first thing he does, he complains about how long he's had to be there.
I'm sorry, that's not funny. That's literally...
Like, it's not funny in the most funny way. It's like, you sicko.
It's like that that episode of Friends when Rachel's having her baby and Ross like hits his head and he's like, you have no idea how painful this is. It's
yeah. Very similar vibes. Yeah,
no,
like, I'm stuck in this hospital. I'm so bored. I'm out of Candy Crush lives. Like, are you serious, guy?
Yeah.
So Victoria apologized from her hospital bed, feeling guilty and embarrassed because she was like, I don't think I'm even seriously injured. Like, I don't know why I've been here for so long. She didn't feel any pain, and Emil did not explain her condition to her at all, or like what had happened. He basically, all he told her is that he was there for far too long and he was so bored. And then he told her that April and Ben, the kids, were with his ex-wife Carly, who sometimes helped with the children. Victoria's very grateful for that they were being taken care of. So Emil said that Victoria's father and stepmother would pick up the kids soon, and Victoria was surprised that Emil called them. And when Victoria asked why you would call the parents to come and step in, Emil didn't elaborate like how severe her injuries had been. Like, she didn't really understand what had happened because she had just woken up after this accident, and she wasn't sure like how badly she was injured, and he wasn't fucking telling her. And he only told her she had a bad fall, and like, that's it. But she heard that and was like, okay, I had a bad fall. Well, I want to get home to my kids. Why did you have to bring the grandparents in? Like, I'll be home soon. I can watch them. Like, she doesn't get it because he's not fucking helping her get it.
Also, is she aware of like how severe the fall was? Like, did she lose memory or something?
He just said like, oh, it was a bad fall. And she's like, sort of remembers, but she's like, I don't know. She didn't think she was hurt badly or anything. Like, she was just like, why am I
like, he's not saying you plummeted
bed?
From the fucking sky. She just thinks like she tripped, and he's not
saying like you can't move and you can't go home. Like, he's just saying, oh yeah, we've been here forever. And so of course, with that attitude, especially from him,
and not
she's
knowing
thinking
that she's hurt.
This is such a waste of my time. Why am I in here? Why are you calling my parents? Like, we should just get home and get to the kids. So Ben was only a few weeks old, the baby, and so she was still breastfeeding, and she was like, I want to get home to the baby. Like, I don't want to be here. I want to check out of the hospital. But then a doctor shows up finally, instead of this fucking Emil guy. And the doctor explains, oh, well, you're not in any pain and you feel fine because you're on a tremendously high dose of fentanyl. on an IV drip. That's why you don't feel any pain. Actually, several vertebrae of your spine are broken. Your pelvis is broken and requires surgery, and several of your ribs are broken. One of her lungs is collapsed. And it's like, this guy Emil is just sitting there bitching about like, oh God, I had to call a babysitter. It's like, I can't with this guy. It's like, you did this. He did this.
The way that I would look at him though, and I would go, why are you trying to rush me out if you know all this? Like, you're looking at me and you can see how bad it is. Why
My broken pelvis? Like, seriously? And she just gave birth a few weeks ago and she's already
Did she get
struggling
a C-section?
Postpartum. No, I don't remember, honestly.
Because I'm just like, imagine the additional trauma to a body that just went through that.
From what I remember, it was like a moderately difficult birth, but I don't know. There weren't really
all birth
details.
Right.
She's already moderately difficult.
Yeah.
Anyway, so the doctor tells her this and she's like shocked. The doctor looks at Victoria and said the brace stabilizing her pelvis looked too tight. So when he starts loosening the brace on her pelvis, she's just like overcome with pain. Like that's when she feels it.
Oh my God.
And that's when it like hits her. Oh shit, I'm actually really hurt. Like, I can't just get up, because she felt okay, you know? And so she thought, I thought I was all right and I could go see my baby, but nope. She's in severe pain. She's not as unscathed as she had once believed. Whoa. And not as unscathed as Emil had tried to make it seem. Probably because now he doesn't want to get caught, right? And he's thinking, no, it wasn't a big deal. I just accidentally let you fall from the sky and it's fine. You're just a little scratched up. The full weight of her injury settled in when the staff needed to move her from the bed in the emergency room to the ICU. And Victoria later wrote that when they lifted and rolled her between the beds, she started screaming like a wild animal because it was so painful that like she didn't even recognize the sounds coming out of her body. And Emil was on his phone and he didn't look up from his phone the whole time.
Oh my God.
I just imagine like healthcare workers who see this kind of thing all the time. Not falling from the sky 4,000 feet all the time, but like see dysfunctional relationships and like partners who are clearly toxic or abusive. It must be so frustrating to see someone treated that way when you know how in pain they are and how sick they are.
Yeah.
So props to all of you who have to deal with that every day. So despite the agony Victoria was in, she was embarrassed because the hospital staff was like horrified about her husband's behavior. Like I was just saying, like they're watching this asshole and she's like trying to say like, oh, he's just really busy, you know, like making excuses. And little did she know he had fucking done this to her to begin with, but whatever. So Victoria spent her initial recovery in the ICU on full spinal care to avoid further damage, and because they didn't want her to get paralyzed. You know, her spine's already damaged. If it gets any further damage, she might become paralyzed. So when she moved from the ICU and began weaning off the IV pain medication, she was hoping Emil would start visiting and encourage her recovery, her physical therapy, but he didn't fucking show. He just didn't. He just stayed home.
I could have told you that wasn't going to happen.
I know, like least surprising fact of this case. Victoria pushed through grueling physical therapy, putting everything she had into getting home to her children because she had weeks-old baby that she was missing now at home, and she's missing weeks of his life. And they couldn't visit in the hospital with the baby because he was young, he was a teeny little one, and she's in the ICU, you know.
Also, like, such a small thing to also pay attention to, but imagine being in that kind of pain. Also, you're still probably, your body's still recovering from childbirth.
Yep.
And, like, I've never had to experience this, but I mean, she's also, like, breastfeeding and not near her baby. Like,
you've
imagine, like,
me bitching about it.
The discomfort of that. Like,
and then you get infections if you don't, like, get it out. So if you're in fucking coma or that could get infected. Like, it's just, you're right. It's, like, on top of everything else.
It's just,
and
like,
it also
it's like
reminds you, your hormones are like kicking in to be like, go to your baby. Your baby needs to eat. And it's like, you can't. And so it's this extra like turmoil on top of it.
There's just so many levels of discomfort and frustration that like.
Sorry, I just had to throw a towel at Juniper because he's eating my plant.
Oh, I like you're like the maternal instincts. And you're like, let me throw everything I have at my cat.
Get away. Okay, it worked. Sorry. I'm so sorry. He's just such a dick sometimes. Anyway, yes, I'm with you. It's like, it seems minor, but in the moment, I imagine that was also very painful to have on top of all the other pain. So when she was finally cleared to leave the hospital, she called Emil excitedly, and he told her he was too busy to talk. Such such a dick.
I can't imagine. I can't imagine.
He says, I'm too busy to talk, but not only that, I'm actually too busy to pick you up. So I'll pick you up in 3 days. What?
I don't know. I mean, does this story end with her actually being the true criminal? Does she murder him?
I was going to say, part of me wishes, but unfortunately not. So when Victoria did finally get home and her parents left, Emil was very impatient with her recovery, basically like, get over it. Victoria felt like a burden. She did her best to stay out of the way while Emil cared for the kids. And one day, interestingly enough, a knock on the door. Hey, it's the representatives from the British Parachute Association. Huh. Welcome to our house.
Oh man. Was he there? Did he open the door to this?
You know what? She opened the door. I do not think he was home. I believe he was at work.
Okay, because I was going to say, I know he slammed that door in their face.
He
ran for the hills.
You know he was not going to open that fucking door. But so she opens the door, like, totally surprised. And they tell her, oh, we're investigating the incident. And until that moment, Victoria hadn't even considered, like, what could have caused the parachutes. She was just in recovery mode. She hadn't even really thought, like, wait, why did both my parachutes fail? Mm-hmm. So when they told her there were pieces missing from her main parachute, she was stunned. And she was like, I don't even know how that's possible. They, of course, talked to the parachute club, who was like, we were the ones that spotted this. We have no idea how this happened. And a few days later, Victoria's friend from the club called to inform her that they had reason to believe her parachute had been deliberately damaged and they were going to report it to the police. Ooh. And she's just shocked. She's like, why would anyone do that? Like, I don't understand why we need to get police involved. Why would anybody do that? And when she explained this to her husband, Emil, he was like, you know what, we should cooperate with the parachute center. Like, they're just trying to do what's best. So he's just playing along. He told Victoria,
you know, he's sweating bullets. You know, he's saying that while like picking every cuticle he's ever had in his life.
100%. Yeah. He's like making his fingernails bleed.
We should listen to them. Like his hair is just
falling out in front of her very eyes and going gray for sure. So he basically plays along, cool, calm, and collected. And is like, oh, don't worry. If they don't find anything, then we'll all feel reassured and we can move on. So he's just banking like, okay, maybe they just won't tie this to me and we can pretend it never happened. So when a detective arrived at their home to inform Victoria that Emil had been arrested in connection with her accident, she was flabbergasted. She asked to speak to him, but the investigators told her he was being questioned right now, and so she couldn't speak to him. So she called her father and went to the police station, and she insisted on speaking to her husband with no success. So he was released on bail, but he was not allowed to contact Victoria in any way. And this was very, very difficult because she is still recovering from this fall, like mentally, physically, every other way. And she now has these 2 kids that Emil was like doing a lot of the caretaking for. And now he's gone. She doesn't even know why because no one will let her talk to him. And now she has all these injuries that she's still recovering from, you know, even trying to learn how to walk again. And she suddenly has 2 small kids that she has to take care of solo.
I mean, I can't imagine her blood pressure. Also, like, I can't, like, the fact that you're in this much pain, you're now a single parent while in this much pain. You have no support. And now you have to deal with a potential, like, criminal case against the person that you love, despite the fact that they're also incredibly abusive. Like there's no corner of your life that isn't at a 10 out of 10 on the stress level.
100% agree. It's like there's no safe, relaxing space for you anywhere. And like she would ask, like, why have you arrested him? Why can't I talk to him? And they were like, none of your business. Oh. So it's sort of like she doesn't even fucking know. Like, she doesn't know what's going on. And so they ask her about the kids. They said the police tell her there's nothing they can do to assist with childcare. So good luck. And the following months basically became a never-ending nightmare as she tried to come to grips with the idea that the police think her husband tried to murder her, but she's like very conflicted about that. Then like dealing with the 2 kids, then recovering from this like very traumatic event and all the physical stuff that happened because of it. And so during this time, she has her friends that she's able to at least lean on and family. And her friends and family kind of have like a come to Jesus talk with her where they say, listen, this guy. He's a known liar. He's been unfaithful. He's constantly in debt. He's not a good partner to you. And Victoria did accept those things. She was like, you're right. Like, factually, this is not a great guy or a great relationship. But she's like, just because I have a bad husband doesn't mean he tried to murder me. I think she was just like so afraid to even go there, like mentally.
I mean, especially if you're already at a 10 out of 10 on the stress level, like imagine having to accept the fact that your husband tried to kill you. Like that you're already firing
Overloaded.
off on all you're running on steam already. Like that's off the rails.
You're just like, please don't make this part of the conversation.
And also, like, I feel like at this point, like, she probably also, I'm glad that her friends are finally saying, like, wake up, girl, like, he's a mess. But also, I'm sure the last thing she wants to do is accept any of that right. Like, she's probably, I just want to get better. Like, I just don't even want to fucking deal with this. Like,
get through these months of like grueling solo
my
parenting.
Broken back and pelvis.
Everything hurts. Yeah. And she was in a bad place mentally before the accident. So it's not even like, oh, I want to get back to that place. It's like, I was already in a shitty feeling and shitty place after like postpartum. And now it's like just on top of everything else. So Emil was staying in military accommodations pending the investigation, and he wasn't allowed to contact Victoria. So detectives visited Victoria to tell her they had gone to Emil's room, and they were like, we feel like we should tell you there's not a... And honestly, if he wasn't the killer, this would be just like so fucking rude. But they say, oh, weird. We didn't see a single picture of you in his whole room.
You know what's so like toxic about me is that would be the thing that hurt me the most.
I know it would. Which is why it feels so fucked up. But like in the context, it's like the smallest thing, but it feels so hurtful.
It feels so intimately painful. Yeah.
Intimately painful. And there wasn't a sign of Victoria or their kids anywhere in the room. And all they did see, there were photos though. Don't worry. There were photos of Emil's girlfriend. She was an Austrian woman named Stephanie Goller. And Emil and Stephanie had been dating for a while. Remember how he'd been going on all those business trips? Well, obviously they were just vacations that he took to see her. They were planning a life together once Emil left Victoria. So
ding, ding, ding.
She was just like waiting for that to end. So heartbroken and outraged, Victoria agreed to answer some questions about Emil finally. She's like, all right, I'll break my silence if you have questions. So they asked if he had private access to her parachute at any time. And Victoria said, well, he did take it to the bathroom with him with our daughter the day before the jump because she had to use the bathroom. He carried it in with him. Detectives asked if anything strange had happened in the days before the jump. And Victoria said, well, there was that gas leak in the kitchen. And do you remember the gas leak I told you about? I feel like I told you about it way early. But essentially he had called, she woke up and smelled gas and freaked out, called him, and he said, well, why don't you turn the stove on and see?
Oh, I totally forgot about that.
Maybe I didn't mention it, but either way, she basically said to the investigators, they were like, anything else suspicious? She's like, well, there was that gas leak. And they were like, sorry, pardon?
He's like not even trying to, like,
it's so dumb.
How did nobody call, like, if I smelled gas right now and Allison went, why don't you turn the stove out? I'd go, you're an asshole. That's the stupidest joke. Like, that's like
it's not funny. Right.
It wouldn't even occur to me that like, I would immediately think either you're telling me a joke, you're an idiot, or you're a killer. It's one of the three.
Or you're trying to hurt me? Yeah, it's like, what else could that mean? Yeah, so basically he essentially what had happened, just a little spark notes, she had smelled gas in the house. She called him. He's like, oh, I'm sure it's nothing. Turn on the stove to see what happens. Like, basically, go explode yourself. Turns out he had left someone had like cut some, they could see it had been tampered with. Like somebody had tampered with the gas piping. And so she told the police about that. So I'm sure that, pinged on their radar. And the investigation they did was very thorough. They searched every inch of the Cilliers home. That's their last name. Victoria felt that she was being constantly violated, especially because she wasn't getting any answers. She was just like in pain and having to do all the work and not knowing what was going on. And she's at the center of this. So I imagine it was very frustrating. And she felt like she had no control over anything that was happening. Her life, her family, like this case, her body. And finally, Emil was charged with 2 counts of attempted murder, once for each skydiving incident and once for the gas leak.
Oh, hell
So
yeah. Okay.
that's pretty.
I did not. I thought he was going to get away with that one.
No. He definitely. I kind of love that they charge him for both, even though the gas leak
Yeah.
hadn't even been on the
An extra
radar
twist
before.
of the
It is
the warranted knife.
Yes. So finally, he was charged with these 2 counts of attempted murder. Investigators had actually discovered the tool Emil had used to loosen that stovepipe where the gas had been leaking, and so they knew it was him. Like they were like, we don't have doubt anymore. We have the pipe that he used. He was also charged with reckless endangerment because his toddler and infant children were in the house when he caused this gas leak. So essentially, he was planning for all of them to
Triple
just die.
homicide or something. Yeah.
He was or he just didn't care. He just wanted them out, or wanted her out of the picture no matter what. So if Victoria had checked to see whether the stove was working, which is what he had suggested to her over the phone, probably she and both of their kids would have been killed.
That's, I mean, insane.
And that was his plan. So like, sick.
Can you imagine, by the way, like trying to kill someone by just offering that they like themselves?
Suggestion to kill themselves, right?
And then it doesn't go well. He's somehow stunned that they're still alive. Then does the parachute thing where he's like guaranteed they'll die, and then she's still alive. He's probably like, what in the fuck do I have to
zombie did I marry?
I'm honestly surprised he didn't do something as obvious as like just fucking hit her with his car.
No,
like
literally, this feels like an Acme anvil should come from the sky and fall on her. It's like, what else could you do? I
got to give it to him. Nothing should be as guaranteed as falling from a skydiving accident.
4,000 feet out of the sky.
So I'm not surprised if he was surprised. But the way that he just went from suggesting she turn on a stove to a fucking parachute accident.
So why don't you just fall out of the sky?
He wanted her gone so however immediately
he just wanted however he could make it happen. And
that's so
when it didn't,
twisted.
He was just embittered and resentful toward her, which is like so fucking twisted,
Yeah.
At this point, though, Victoria still struggled to believe Emil could be capable of something so horrible as risking his own children's lives and like not caring if his own kids died. She's like, I'm one thing, but like these are our children, and he just doesn't care if they're collateral damage.
I hope that woke her up of like, oh, he wants his own kids dead. Like,
I think that was the point where she was like, well, this is a turning point. Like, how could this, I can't like let this slip past,
Or it's like, maybe I don't know how to totally be there for myself all the time, but I can definitely like be a protective mom,
Yeah, like at least like that's, I mean, not to say a step too far, like obviously, but I think maybe in her mind it was like a different fear,
Yeah, that makes sense.
So when Victoria took the stand to testify at Emil's trial, the defense team asked her whether she believed Emil was capable of killing her. And she trusted the justice system to make an impartial decision regardless of her own opinion, so she answered honestly. She said she believed Emil was a wonderful father. She said he would not hurt her even if he wanted to, because he wouldn't do anything that would hurt their children, like depriving them of a mother. Oh. And the prosecution was floored. They were like, shit. Like,
we were really hoping you'd come through here on this.
Yeah, we were hoping you'd see the big picture and like be honest about it. But she basically didn't understand like how damning that testimony would be for their case. Mm-hmm. And she also admitted during examination by the defense that she exaggerated how long Emil was in the bathroom with her parachute. So they were like, wasn't he in there for 5 to 7 minutes or whatever it was? She's like, no, I was exaggerating when they first asked. So she's like going back on a lot of stuff.
Did he threaten her or something? Is that what they're worried of?
No, I think she just was still at that point where she was like, I just can't believe my husband would want to hurt me and my children. Like, I just can't wrap my mind around it. I think in denial. Yeah, exactly. So she had just found out about his plans to leave her for his Austrian girlfriend, and she was very angry at him. But in reality, when I know why, but in reality, when it came to like the bathroom thing, she wasn't even really sure how long he had been in the bathroom because it was just such a blip in her memory. Sure. So based on a video demonstration created by the defense, which demonstrated how quickly somebody could tamper with a parachute in that particular bathroom, it seemed that Emil actually could have done it even in the very short time period she was now saying on the stand. Okay. So even though she said, oh, it was much shorter, the defense was still like, well, it still can be done in that time period.
Gotcha.
Victoria's heartfelt endorsement of Emil as a father, however, as we can probably guess, split the jury because the jury was like, well, she would know, right? Like if if this man were trying to kill her.
Hmm.
They wanted to believe her. And so it was a mistrial because the jury was split. So the prosecution began to build a case for a retrial, and they were like, okay, this time we cannot rely on Victoria's testimony. We thought she was going to like bring it home, but no, she kind of stood to his defense. So they were like, we got to prove him guilty without relying on Victoria's testimony.
Hmm.
That would mean proving that Emil was not the man Victoria thought he was, much less the one he pretended to be. So what they did is the prosecution printed out tens of thousands of text messages between Emil and the women he was seeing outside the marriage.
Love that.
Because he had so many conversations with different women, including his ex-wife Carly, who had met Victoria, and Victoria really liked and respected Carly. Turns out while Victoria was pregnant, they were sleeping together.
This girl can't catch a goddamn break.
Catch a break. Even the woman of his exes that she really liked and felt she could trust ended up being another woman outside the marriage. So Emil fell into tens of thousands of dollars in debt. Much of his money went to hiring sex workers. He arranged sex with a woman over text while he was on his way to the ICU to see Victoria. Fun fact. On the way there, was planning a rendezvous with a sex worker.
Beautiful fun fact. Okay.
While Victoria was pregnant, he was texting Carly to plan where they would have sex. He frequented sex clubs, but his behavior was unwelcome. In other words, he started to become banned from sex clubs.
Whew, is he okay? Like, what the fuck is he? I mean, obviously no, but like, what happened? Like, what happened? What's the pathology? What's the history of this person?
I think he's just...
wires are not wiring.
Psychopath. I think he's a psychopath is what I think, but wires are not wiring. Yeah, I don't know. So apparently at one sex club, he was so aggressive and he made a woman cry, and they were like, get out. Like, you can't be here. So all along, Victoria continually gave money to Emil to help him with his debt. When she asked him about finances, he would be so defensive that like it would be like we talked about last time. It would be turned on its head so that suddenly she was apologizing because like she brought up the wrong subject, and then he flew off the handle, and now it's like, oh, now I'm at fault and I'm sorry for making you so mad. That twisted, abusive thing people do. Finally, perhaps the most damaging communication between Emil and his many affairs was a text he sent to his girlfriend in January of that year, which read, "From April onwards, I can do random and spontaneous." So it was basically saying once April comes around, I'll be free as a bird.
Mm-hmm.
And he then told her he would do anything to be with her, suggesting in the text some scheme in April that would come to fruition that would give Emil the freedom to move or do whatever he pleased.
Wow.
And both attempted murders occurred at the beginning of April. So he couldn't even wait until like mid-April. He was like, April's here, let's get this
April
handled.
1st, let's
April
get
1st.
it cooking. Yeah, Jesus Christ.
In 2018, Emil Cilliers was found guilty of all 3 charges against him after the jury deliberated for 3 days. When the trial ended and Victoria could finally speak with Emil, she called him on the phone in prison. But she soon realized, like pretty quickly, that even when she talked to him from this distance, he was still able to manipulate her over the phone with her emotions. And so she said, you know what, I gotta just pull the plug. So she decided to divorce him and be finished with him for good. Following the trial,
sorry, I was gonna say that's wild though, because you would think once he was behind bars and like there was nothing that he had to keep quiet anymore, you would think he would be, I feel like he would lash out and say like all the things that would end them. Like, I feel like he would try to make the move to end things. 'Cause he's like, oh, you're still fucking alive after all this. I'm already busted. Like, I don't have to be honest anymore. Or I don't have to be
that's
no
use to him, right? It's more use to him if he has this woman that he's like battered and abused. Dangling and also like defending him and on his side and providing him money and providing him resources.
That's
like he wanted to get rid of her when he was bored of her and had a new girlfriend. But now it's like, well, I guess I go back to square one. And in the interviews with the police, he had even admitted like, oh, I'm having an affair actually, and I don't want to be with Victoria anymore. And they were like, does Victoria know this? He's like, not yet. And it's like, what? And so they tell Victoria, and I think he must have been so good at lying too that she was like, wait, what? Like, she was like, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I wonder if it was like a combination of him being charming to her, or if it was like because there's no way he didn't think she'd find out about those things. Like, he must have really believed in his ability to lie to her, or like he must have really thought she was just like so emotionally weak that he could get away with it and she could know. And
well, I think, and then he was going to kill her, so it didn't matter anymore.
Oh, that's okay. That too. Yeah.
Right. It's like once she's dead, it's like, who cares anymore?
Great
I can
point.
just get rid of the kids and move to Austria.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So following the trial and sentencing, Victoria spoke in news segments and talk shows about her experience of like first the abuse from a meal and then the accident. Many media outlets credited Victoria's survival solely to luck because the airfield where she crash landed had been freshly plowed. So it was kind of like a softer, more forgiving surface that she landed on. But in reality, it was a combination of luck and skill, which I think we all guessed because Victoria was able to like keep her cool as the parachute failed. She used her experience as a parachute instructor to do whatever she could to properly deploy the reserve parachute. And, you know, when that didn't work, she did whatever she could to control like how she fell, where she landed, etc. There wasn't much she could do, but she kept a cool head during that, and they think that also contributed to her survival. In an interview, Victoria said that it happened so fast she didn't even have time to think that she was about to die. She was just in kind of like problem solve mode, and her only focus was just correcting the parachute. She's since written a memoir on her experience, and she went skydiving one more time.
That's right, girl. Good job.
I knew people would be wondering because I was wondering, and she said she just wanted to do one more jump where she was in control. It went well. All her friends were there to support her. Just like a very full circle, you know.
And also just like to get over your fucking fear that he now created. And like, I mean, the levels of fuckery it is to, it was her only super intense, or one of her only super intense passions. And now you've ruined that for her because now it has a bad memory. So like to, yeah, for her to reclaim it.
And then ruin it. Yeah, reclaim it. Yes, that's exactly the word. And Victoria said in that vein that she didn't want her parachuting career to end on such a tragic note. So this time when she jumped out of the plane for a tandem dive strapped to her friend, so she
Good. If I'm going, like, you're going, girl.
Exactly. Like we're both on the line now.
Yeah.
Strapped to her friend, as she skydived out of the plane, she felt pure joy and freedom. Good. And that is the story of Victoria Cilliers. What a fucking
journey.
Roller coaster journey.
Is she... She's like alive and is she still skydiving? We just don't have any record of it.
No, I think that was just the one. She was like, I just want to do one more so that my career didn't end on like such a low note, so that it almost just like you said, reclaimed it, and then she can, you know, move on.
I wish she became like an Olympian skydiver or some shit where she was like,
I think she already was an Olympian skydiver, you know. But yeah, she has quite a few articles and pieces about her that are pretty interesting. And there's, I think she's on an episode of I Survived, but I'm not 100% sure about that. But
wow, I mean, she deserves it for sure.
Right.
Boy.
So,
well, I'm glad that it's over in the sense of like I've been waiting several weeks to hear the end of that story.
I know, and it ended on at least like somewhat of a positive note, you know, like a silver lining out of all of that bullshit.
Yeah. Oh, Christine. Well, are you doing another 2-parter to torture us next week?
I really don't think so. I feel like so Saoirse was like, I'm so sorry about the 2-parter. I'm like, I kind of love them.
I think people like the 2-parters, but wow, talk about a real tease to put Halloween in the middle of the episode.
No, I know. And that, you know, to be quite honest with you, if I had any better grasp of timing and the calendar, I would not have done that. But
well, you know what it was?
Not thinking ahead.
It was a trick instead of a treat.
It was. And I'm sorry about that. I usually only try to provide treats.
Next year, I'll be the trick and you be the treat.
Oh, I can only imagine what that might look like. I can't wait.
Well, I assume doing a 2-parter and making Halloween in the middle. I don't know.
Oh, just doing what I did. Yeah. I can't wait.
We are about to finish up our tour. We've got 2 legs left. And
I know, it feels crazy. I'm like looking now.
By the time this comes out, I think we have 2 legs left. So we're almost done with our our fall tour.
Wow.
And hopefully spring is right around the corner, folks. So we'll see.
Spring is right around the corner. We haven't even hit Halloween yet.
We haven't even hit the election yet. Well, when this comes out. Well, you know, things are ahead of us. I don't know if they're good or bad or neutral, but things are certainly ahead. And
wait, what episode is this, Em?
404?
Okay, this comes out before the election.
Oh, thank God. Okay, we've got another week to panic.
Oh my God, no. So all these poor people are like, wait, what? No, it hasn't even happened yet. Oh God. Okay.
Well, they'll figure it out once they get to the end of the episode.
Oops.
And they'll hear us say it again in the next episode.
Hey, by the way, go fucking vote, please. By the way, since this is our last episode, I don't know why. Well, because I thought this comes out after the election, but because it doesn't, please vote. It seems confusing and overwhelming. It's not. Just Google it. There's so many websites where you can just put in your address, put in your name. It'll say, go to this place between these hours. You can often vote early in a lot of states. Go fill out your thing.
Especially if you're in a red state, please go get those numbers in there.
Or
please.
A swing state, actually.
Swing
please,
state.
If you're in a swing state, because Ohio's looking rough for me. I'm 10 minutes away. I can't even vote in Ohio, but my family can, and it's huge. So please, 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 one vote. I know it seems like nothing, but it's a big deal, especially the youth vote. We need these youngins voting. 18 and up, go vote.
I'm
please.
really rooting on the Gen Zers. I'm really rooting on you guys because
please.
We've been struggling without you, and now that it's your turn,
now you're grown-ups.
Remember the end of Avengers Endgame when everyone came together and there were some newbies? Well, it's now like you're the newbies.
I know. We need you to save the day, please. So
one day when we know the election results, people will be commenting in this from the future, going, "Oh, if only they knew." You know,
don't say that.
I mean, it could be they could mean it for either way.
I guess so. If only they knew.
And
that's
why
we
drink.